can't post to Facebook
No,
because
I had done that.
I'm on a ban.
I had done that.
You've, yeah, Mabee's done that. That's great. Thank you.
Well, I've done a bit and on Messenger,
Yes.
but you know, I was working, so
Yeah, we're live. Look, we're live.
perfect.
No, it doesn't show, but anyway,
Okay,
we're live.
good.
So, yeah, thank you very much for coming here. It's a great honour to have you on.
Thank you.
Um, just tell me one little thing that's been puzzling me, maybe,
Hmm.
for some months now. How do you pronounce your surname?
Brigitte?
Your
Oh,
surname.
oh, Antelme. 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 It's quite complicated. It's my father's name. My
Okay.
mother's name is simpler. My mother is Tozin. Tozin is the name of an oak tree in the Provençal region.
Right.
So my name is my father Antelme and my mother's Tozin. Tauzin.
And why do you call yourself Mabee?
Ah, well, you know that.
Yeah.
Ma is for the Pachamama, the Shekinah, the one who serves this earth, the mother. So I walk the path of the conscious feminine. And B, because I used to be allergic to bees, I used to keep bees. And now we have the most wonderful relationship. They can come on my hands anywhere and they don't sting me. And I
Fantastic.
protect them.
That's
So
beautiful.
it's like a transformation. And so it's the mother of the bees as well as really the mother of all beings.
Okay.
Does that help answer your
Oh, that's
question?
fantastic. That is fantastic. That is fantastic. Right, we're here tonight to talk a little bit about the concept of Wetico,
Mm-hmm.
which I spell. Let me just.
That's
I've actually made some notes here, so
yeah.
just bear with me. I don't have an auto cue, so I've had to make some notes, and I'm going to be looking down while I read my notes, and that's just the way it is, I'm afraid, because I don't have an auto cue. Um, but I spell it Wetico.
Okay.
Maybe spells it with a K.
Because that's Amy. Amy is from Cherokee descendant, and
Right.
she spelled it with a K. And she said it's got different spellings. Okay.
Yeah.
And she,
It's from the, as I understand it, I might be wrong. The word comes originally from the Cree language,
yeah. Mm.
but of course the Native American languages um, don't originally um, translate very well, or aren't normally written down, and
Mm.
certainly not written down in our alphabet. So there's no correct way or incorrect way of doing it. Wekito is also very strong in the Lakota people
Yes. Yes.
tradition, and and I think in all the Native American traditions.
Mm.
If I just read this out
So
from my
what?
note,
Yeah.
and
Because what?
you
Yeah.
jump
Because
in.
what made you choose to speak tonight? I'm reversing the call. What made you choose tonight to engage with the thread of the Wetico, which took me to the thread of the scapegoat complex, which took me to the shadow material at this
Mhm.
time when we're moving in the energies of Scorpio, which has to do with going inwards to look into the shadows. So it's
So
interesting.
what did
So
I
you
choose?
can
It's
read
a
your text.
conversation, maybe. It's a conversation. So please chip in whenever you want. I'm not the interviewer, and you're not the interviewee. We're equals
Wonderful,
here.
wonderful.
Um, I've only just in the last couple of weeks, couple of months, come across the idea.
Mm,
I wasn't aware of it before. I certainly wasn't aware of it when I wrote my book.
mm,
And the more I looked into it, um, the more I realised that it was pretty much the same thing that I've been writing about.
Mm, mm.
So I just wanted to give a brief introduction to the concept and then to say what we can do about it,
Okay.
if
Do you
that's okay with
do you
you.
think you could ask Paul? Paul, do you think you could put the new link, which is the new link on Facebook? Because I've invited a lot of people with a beautiful, engaging comment, and apart from you who have the new thing, I don't see anyone who has come. Yeah.
That would be great if you can, Paul, please. Yeah, because I might have posted the wrong link. It's quite possible I posted the wrong link.
Well, I posted the one you sent me, but it's not the one we are on now.
Right. Okay. So
So
if
how
you can do that, Paul, that would be fantastic, please.
is he still here? Paul, are you still here watching?
He said I'm here watching,
Mm.
so I'm sure he'll do that. I'm sure he's here to see what sort of a mess I can make of his
Okay.
show.
Well, people can watch it on Restream if they're interested. Okay.
I
So,
really want people to comment as well, and we've had a few comments
yes,
earlier on.
I'm banned, but I will send it to you now. Oh, great. I've just joined. I've just joined through the link on Facebook. Oh, so it does work, Ina. Wonderful.
Are you
So,
banned? You banned again, Paul?
yes, he's
What have
banned
you?
again.
You
Okay.
naughty boy! I've just
Okay,
got
but
myself banned for 3 days.
Ina Urquhart. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name, Ina. What a beautiful Christian name. I've just joined you through the link on Facebook. So that looks as if it's working, Jack. Good.
That's fantastic. Yes,
So let's leave
very,
it.
very welcome here, Ina. Thanks for coming. Um, right, let's get back to Wetico. The word literally means cannibal, but not in the sense of eating flesh, but in the sense of cannibalizing another person's life force. Maybe there's a similar thing there with the European concept of the vampire. They consider it to be a mind virus. They call it the settler's disease, claiming it was brought to their lands by the Europeans. It's a state where people believe in the illusion of separateness, where they lose their connection with nature and with each other. It's a condition where the ego rules supreme. You agreeing with what I'm saying so far, Naveen?
Just hold on. I am sharing the link Paul has just shared.
Okay.
Okay.
It's the spirit of evil that's terrorizing the world. It's also considered to be a cluster B personality disorder. Narcissistic and antisocial behavior characterizes it.
Okay. That's pretty heavy going, isn't it?
Yeah.
And in
That's a
which
very, that's a very
in which place did you find that, please?
I've been doing a lot of research from a lot of different places.
Yeah. Okay.
It's called the cancer of the soul or mind blindness. The state of trauma where people unwittingly create the very situations they are trying to resolve.
All right.
It can cause people to project their shadow onto others. Well,
All right. Then we are back to the scapegoat. Okay. All right. Well, from what Amy was sharing, and I really understand, if I can share where I'm coming from with that, with what Amy shared. Wetico at first was a pure energy, and it was taken outside and put outside. Okay. So from the moment we put something outside, a bit like mass media right now, which has become a hook for people to, through the vision, through the hearing, through the words, get lured into believing in what information or vision transmission that they are being fed. So what she was saying, it feels very much like what's happening now with Wetico, which used to be originally pureness. It's become a hook that snares the unguarded mind. I'm sharing the words of Amy. But originally, Wetico had no entity attached to it. It was just an energy inside the self. However, as the field, as people started experiencing what we name the shadow, okay, how can I handle those parts of myself or the community which I don't feel confident with? Shame, murder, betrayal, abuse, lying, those started to be projected out into the field. And from her understanding, that is when other beings from other dimensions maybe started attaching themselves to the Wetico and siphoning its energy. So in a way, we manifested a different Wetico. From the Wetico, which originally was pure energy, it became dark energy. So I would say here in shamanic terms, just as raven, brother raven, okay, raven or crow looks into the pool and sees its own shadow, there is a choice we can make. Either we address the shadow or we drown in the shadow and we can't cope with what we see. But in fact, raven or hawk or eagle, the vision from above or the light, it's asking us to go and look within to our shadows. But what raven does, it looks, or hawk or eagle, they look right into your heart through your eyes and right into your soul. But his brother, like Brother Wetico. But the problem is, what has happened to humanity that we have offered the perfect hook and projected outside those parts of ourselves which we did not wish to take responsibility for. So if I go with that, that means from our thought forms, when we are connected with raven medicine, hawk medicine, whatever medicine, which is the vision from above. When I have a vision from above, I'm a little bit above that shadow that I'm just seeing. And I have a choice. Either I shine the eye of the hawk or the raven inside and see, what is going on now? I'm going to recognize I'm feeling shamed from something I've done, or I've done something terrible. Okay, I have a choice to make, Jack. We have a choice. And that choice is, am I able to respond? Now, if I have received nothing as a child, and as a child, I had a program that I had to lie, I had to hide, or I was part of a community when being different was not allowed, then let's look at the history. What happened with the Hebrew community? Well, their way of surviving within the community and cope with very dark deeds like murder, abuse, theft of somebody else's woman, jealousy, coveting, the 7 deadly sins. The way the Hebrews dealt with that, they would choose one at first. This is how it was before they chose the goat. They would choose one of their own, usually the weakest, and they would put on that one, they would scapegoat that one person and send him into the desert. And it was a process of atonement. And then the divine would look down again, and the connection, the strand between the community of the Hebrews and the Divine Father would be re-established. So it was an atonement. After that, of course, that one being would die in the desert because they would have no water and no food. And that way, all those sins would go back to Mother Earth. And they could go on back living and being purified because their sins had been atoned. But then what happened with the rabbi? The rabbi then changed and started sacrificing a goat on the altar, and the blood would be spilled onto the earth. And that would be an atonement. And then a second goat would be sent in the desert alive. So isn't that interesting? You mentioned about Wetico and separation. If we are not able, through trauma, collective trauma, transgenerational trauma, to connect with those parts of us that feel nothing, that are dead or frozen, completely wrapped in a bubble. We don't have that access. Okay? They're trapped in time. They're trapped with a trauma. It can be transgenerational. It can be within this incarnation. When that happens, we tend to live life in a very dissociative way. And that's very sad, because it means we can't feel, oh, I've just done that. I've just crushed, or I've just killed. I've just run over that animal when I could have slowed down. I've just killed that puppy, or I've just done that. Why? Because sometimes, like the farmer up the road, that was done generation after generation. Okay. But if I have no other way of knowing how to be different, Jack, I will go on perpetuating that. And instead of moving Wetico back into, that's an energy, okay? I can work with Wetico instead of deviating my thoughts or splitting, dissociating. I can really work on my shadow. Don't know if that is.
That's very, very wise. Thank you. Taking this shadow or dark aspect of Wetico, which, to be honest, was the only one I knew about before you shared what you just shared. As you say, it's been with us for many thousands of years. In my book, Love Not Fear, I say we were born into a game we did not devise, based on a web of lies.
When you share, can you just slow down a little bit for me?
Okay. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I really, really hear what you're saying.
Okay.
Thank you, Jack.
In my book, Love Not Fear,
yes, I've understood that.
I say that we were born into a game we did not devise, where the rules are stacked against us. A game we did not devise, based on a web of lies. Now, for the sake of what we're talking about tonight,
Mm-hmm.
instead of game, can we think paradigm
Mm-hmm.
and say that we are now living in a Wetico paradigm?
Mm-hmm. A
This
Wetico
is, this
paradigm.
is
Paradigm.
the dark paradigm, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
some people say, and lots of people have said, that my ideas for a better way of living are naive and don't take into consideration the human nature.
Mm-hmm.
I say that the dog eat dog human nature that we all think is so normal is really a result of living in the Wetico paradigm.
Mm-hmm. I hear that. The sad thing I feel in my heart, it's a bit like what Lucifer has been charged with. Lucifer is the carrier of light, but Satan is evil, carrier of evil. So what I hear from that, could we just put Witico back where he belongs? Is a spirit. If we reclaim our own shadow, our own dark thought forms, we create the world. We are co-creators. We're
Mm.
so powerful. We co-create. Okay. So,
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
so hmm,
So, how do we do that? Well, I suggest that the first thing we have to do is to ditch this illusion of separateness.
but we have already, that's a concept, we have already separated Witico. We've put him out there. And when did we start doing that? Is when we did not turn the internal camera, the light of the pineal gland, turn it and bring it in, and then we look inwards. And this is what's happening right now as we're moving into the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio has to do with shadow material, going deep, deep within, and see what is it that I do not wish to engage with. It's
Mm.
easy not to engage with. It's so easy. And it's been going through the historically all those rituals, even in mythology, the rituals to atone the divinity, rituals to atone the sins of the community. And right now, everything is coming up to the surface. So there's always been a choice of someone in a family who has carried the shadow. If we look at that very profound Quasimodo in the film of, the Hunchback of Notre Dame, he was the one carrying the dog, but in fact, it was the priest who was lusting for Esmeralda, the dancer. Now, if we look at that trial, the three people, one was the victim, but he was the rescuer as well, which was his beautiful, kind heart protecting Esmeralda. This young maiden was dancing barefoot, and the priest who was coveting her. We have the whole story of every scapegoating that has happened
Mm.
forever. It's in all the myths, in all the cultures. So it's someone who is going to carry the blame for the community, carry the sins of the community. So your question was how to reclaim that so that we, Wetico, can be just the spirit, just like the spirit of the tree. Well, first we have evolved, Jack. We are now in the age of Aquarius. So that's the vision of the people with the light from the heavens onto what is the vision and the words of the people. people reclaiming power. Well, for the people to reclaim power, Uranus, which is a heavenly god, needs to be castrated. Because if he's not castrated, he's an air energy, and we will stay with a vision which is dissociated from coming to Earth. So the process of castration brings Uranus into his humanity. One of his gonads falls in the water, in the ocean, and it's Aphrodite who is born. And what is Aphrodite? It's Venus, is the power to love, to relate. Is that beautiful energy that means that two people weave and feel that they are feeling each other. That's what Venus is about at the higher level, the mental level. She longs to gift beauty, true love, authenticity, and serving consciousness, the consciousness of relationship. Relationship not just with my husband, my wife, my children. No, the age of Aquarius is relating to every living thing within the cosmos and within this earth. So that's one thing. And the second gonad of Uranus falls on the earth. So we have the water, the energy of the heart, and the earth, which is how are we going to serve Pachamama, the earth? And what is going to happen when that touches the earth? Remember, Uranus is a divine energy. It's a cosmic energy. It's one of the furthest planets. And it's lightning and thunder. And for the lightning, it needs to come to the earth. That charge of electricity needs to come to the earth. That charge of understanding technology needs to serve the earth. And the earth is the feminine principle. But when it touches the earth, what happens in the mythology? The Furies rise from the earth. Why? Because we have betrayed Mother Earth.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
We've abused her. So I don't know if that touches or resonates with what you just said.
Absolutely.
How can we start changing that Wetico where we are brainwashed, we are completely complacent, we are fast asleep? I'm speaking about a big chunk of humanity right now because it's been an ongoing program that's been going on for thousands of years.
The Native American people have a lot of wisdom.
Yes, they have, and so have the Aborigines. And remember what's happened. So go on.
And native people all over the world have a lot of wisdom. But there's a saying in Central America that you are another me and I am another you.
Yes, I feel you feeling me. They've always lived by that. Now, let's stop a second here before you take on to another strand, because I'd just like to go a little bit deeper in that. What has happened to all those cultures who held so much connectivity? They were not dissociated. You spoke of dissociation. You spoke of separation. So that is a very important strand. We started dissociating when we were not able to respond. The Hebrews, they were children. They had the shepherds guiding them. They were very immature in those days because there was God the Father, and there was the rabbi, and there was the priest, etc., etc. And the church has done the same, okay? Which is, we are the Father, we are guiding you, you are the sheep. And what's happening right now? Humanity is waking up and saying, I need to be my own shepherd. I need to be looking at what's inside me. I don't want to go into a place in the church and tell a priest, here are my sins, and would you please absolve me of my sins? And then I go out, and the next day I do the same thing. It's the same principle as the Hebrew. But if today I, in the face of myself, my beloved, that divine spark, that divine seed that I am, if I have to respond to my own self for my actions, for my thoughts, for my emotions, for who I am, for how I relate to others, Jack, then that is something else. Then I start standing erect, okay, and I can light the light. So instead of being the Homo sapiens, yes, Homo sapiens, supposed to be the wisdom man, but we're not. We're going to move into the Illuminati because we are bringing the light into ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. When we lose connection with this idea of connectedness,
Mm,
we stop taking care of each other, and we stop taking care of Pachamama.
yeah, and we stop taking care of ourselves. And if you
Mm.
look at every tribe, every culture on earth, everything has been done in the last so many hundreds of years to get them to disappear. Why? That's a question I put to Ina and whoever will be listening to that restream, replay. Think, why do you think governments took actions pretending they were being kind, but in fact, like with a lot of the Amerindians, the blankets they were giving had
Yeah,
smallpox,
yeah, yeah,
etc., etc. The Aborigines of Australia and New Zealand, their children were taken away from them.
mm. People couldn't do that if they had this concept that we are all one, could they?
So, but why? Because there was another concept, another paradigm. And the other paradigm is the paradigm of enslavement.
Yeah,
When you control and you enslave, okay, the more you keep brainwashing someone, there's a moment they will no longer ponder and think for themselves.
yeah,
And that is when Wetico, which you spoke about in the beginning, is no longer that pure spirit energy that we held, that we hold, but it's been deviated, it's been hijacked.
yeah. When we believe in the illusion of separateness,
Yeah.
we become mean with our resources. We ration out our love. So the cure must be to flip our thinking on its head,
Hmm.
live generous, loving lives, make sure our friends and neighbours always have enough,
Hmm.
give and do not count the cost, toil and do not ask for any reward, love without limit,
Hmm.
develop a close relationship with the land as native people always have done.
Yeah, but remember, I'm going to stop you here from your beautiful book. Do you leave Jack out of that? Or do you include Jack first? Because if you cannot give to yourself, if you cannot love to yourself, if you cannot be kind to yourself, if you cannot be generous to yourself, then there is something amiss. So those are beautiful, beautiful concepts. But the first person is tend your garden. And when we tend our own garden
Mm-hmm.
and everything starts growing of my abundance I can offer to others. Of
I
my
agree.
abundance.
I agree with what you're saying, 100%. But
Beautiful.
let me just say that if Jack is not separate, how can I leave him out?
Good. But that's a moment by moment. A
Moment by
moment
moment.
by moment. Am I being kind to myself? Moment by moment. In what I say, in what I share, in how I am with everyone.
Yeah. Let's care for the well-being of all creatures,
Yeah.
including ourselves.
Yeah. That's the hardest in
Connect with
anything. Yeah.
connect with the seasons
Yeah.
through the seasonal rituals, or however you want to do it.
Yeah.
Just by eating seasonal food.
Yeah.
We've become so out of touch with the seasons through buying supermarket food that's been imported from the other side of the world. If we
That's collapsing. That's been
we had fresh,
collapsed.
if we had fresh food in season,
Yeah,
we have an idea of the seasons. We'd be
exactly.
con-
But
more
this is lovely what you're saying, because in a way that is, you're showing all the places where we have dissociated, and that's been a program that's been running. So if we eat the fruits of our gardens in season, if we've got a good season, that is,
Mm,
then we, and if we're not an island, but we grow even on an island, we can grow our own food and we can learn to be self-sufficient. That is going back to the medicine of that land,
yeah,
because each land has its own energy which belongs to those people. That is feminine conscious wisdom. That is the feminine wisdom, is to eat from that land. And when we plant the seeds, if we are planting seeds just for ourselves, we can put some of our saliva or talk to that seed, and that seed will grow
yeah.
and connect and align with us.
Mm.
So I agree. It's so beautiful. Yeah.
Did you see the video that I put out a few months back when I was camping on Cannock Chase,
No, I
where I,
haven't.
where I said that I wasn't visiting nature, I am nature.
Hmm.
There is no separation.
Yeah, but you still need to ask her permission, because we are walking where there is fairies, elementals, and sometimes there are thresholds, and we need to be mindful. I'm saying that because sometimes we're not mindful when we step in a forest, that there are guardians, there are spirits in this forest, and there is a way of walking in those forests. I speak as a shaman right now.
Absolutely, yeah. Did I tell you about the time when I was walking in a forest last year here in
Mm.
Staffordshire? And I just had this feeling. I can't describe it, although I'm going to try. I was walking with my hands down, and I just had this feeling that all these little spirit beings were reaching up and holding my hand.
Mhm. Mm.
The spirit of the land, the spirit of the trees and the plants
Mm.
were holding my hand.
That's beautiful.
And
And how did that make you feel?
oh,
How did
wonderful,
you feel?
wonderful,
Well, there
wonderful.
you are. So
Uh,
that is, and I can see it in your face.
mm, I've
So
always been
I
very,
feel you sharing live. If you can share live experiences, your face changes completely.
mm,
You come alive.
yeah, yeah. I'm like you, maybe. I'm very, very in touch with
Mm.
nature.
Mm. Yeah, it's
Um,
beautiful.
yeah. Oneness is such an important concept to understand, but not just to understand, but to live by.
Mm.
And I'm not asking you this, maybe, because I know that from you the answer is yes. But I'm just generally putting it out there to whoever's watching. Are you seeing yourself in everyone else? Are you understanding that there is nothing separate from you? Do you understand that every time you judge another as being unworthy in some way, you're really judging yourself?
Mhm.
your own unworthiness,
Mm-hmm.
because indeed we are all mirrors to one another.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand that everything you do to another person, good or bad, you are doing to yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Are you living your life according to these understandings? What do you think
That
about
is, it is, that is the vision. It's so profound because this is walking the path in authenticity. And this is where we are focusing, we're aligning. And I don't say I'm achieving that every day, but every moment I am walking in that. Okay. Why did I say that? Because I'm in my humanity, and like the forger, like the blacksmith, when he forges on his forge, and the bellows are burning, and he's forging, and he puts it back and back. It's the same with the beloved. He puts us in the furnace, and he says, "You can do better with that bit. That bit needs refining." And 1,000 times, it's like the loom. 1,000 times I might reweave that strand, and 1,000 times I reweave that strand as I explore a new relationship, or I share something in a circle, like yesterday with a ceremony. You reweave, and at the end of the day, you take notes. And if you're uneasy with something, then you look at that shadow. That's the work I was talking earlier on. But if you don't look at that shadow, you will be face to face with that situation in the next day and the next day.
it?
I just realized it's nearly an hour. And what I wanted to say is from beautiful Carl Jung. And it goes back to the beginning of what you were asking about Wetico. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making darkness conscious.
Yeah.
That's profound. So Carl Gustav Jung was a psychologist, and he really went dark, into the dark. So I'm sharing that because I really feel we went with the Wetico, and why we did put the Wetico outside. It's when we handed our power over. It's easy to stay a child.
Mm.
It's easy to want someone above us to have the answers.
Yeah.
But putting the question means I have to go within and listen to the wisdom. So I am gifted sometimes an information. It means I am informed in my form. The information starts coming into form and creating a new. I love that thought. And what I love as well is beautiful Thomas Hubel, who works on trauma, collective trauma. And he says, for what I am gifted today, what information I'm gifted today to understand and be given, I am grateful. And for what is remaining in hiding, I am grateful too, because that is the will of the divine. So as I was listening to you sharing what you shared, yes, that's the goal. That's the ultimate goal. To see face to face myself with God, to see you and feel you in me as part of me, yes. But achieving that, that is the journey.
That is the journey, maybe, absolutely.
And
And
that is beautiful.
it's not always an easy journey.
But it is beautiful to look at it as a journey.
Absolutely.
And I really feel from the time when the Hebrews were scapegoating, or even when we, with having many of us having been brought up in the church, under the church, and the church saying, we can atone your sins, but you need to make 10 Ave Maria, or, go and do the cross, le chemin de croix. But now, suddenly being face to face with our own thoughts, actions, and emotions, that's so empowering, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I was just thinking back of what you said about the programmation, what you read at first, how we were, in a way, our brain were completely like a cancer. Our brain were being eaten away by thoughts, which are in the field. They're in the field, those thoughts. The thoughts of the dark, uh, creating terrible things. Those are in the field. Why? Because millions and millions of people are still perpetuating very dark deeds. I can see those.
Mhm.
I can see those disembodied. But the task is, if I bring it back into the right relationship of Uranus, Aphrodite, and the Furies, if I don't relate, the rage will come up and say, what have you just done? And be compassionate towards yourself.
Yeah.
But as children, like, what did the parents do when they couldn't cope, or they didn't have the tools? They didn't have the skills to just set the right boundaries. I see you. I see your talents. I see your skills. But here, there are some weaknesses. Let me help you with those weaknesses. But if the parents are unable to do that, often the parents will come in and use the Wetico. In France, they used to say, if you don't behave, you will go to hell.
Mhm. We had that too as children.
Or if you don't behave, if you don't go to sleep, the devil will come in the room and take you and snatch you.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now, what are you creating as parents or grandparents? You're creating a thought form, a thought
Mhm.
that's going to manifest in the imagination of the child, who is going to start having nightmares.
Yeah.
You were wondering, where did the Wetico separation, illusion of the separateness comes from? We have co-created it.
We have, absolutely. It's a
And,
fear-based consciousness
and we have
instead of a love-based.
co-created almost everything that we're witnessing now. All we are witnessing is everything that we have perpetuated so far on the earth. We're witnessing
Mm.
we're inverting it. We are turning it upside down.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned Jung earlier on.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, all this is, most of this is happening subconsciously. And he had a famous quote that unless we take the unconscious and make it conscious, it will continue to affect our lives, and we will call it fate.
Yeah. Yeah. But let's be compassionate for that.
Yes.
Because if you look at the collective unconscious, if you remember the iceberg,
Hmm.
consciousness is what's above water, what's underneath is, am I going to dare to dive and have a look into
Mm.
what is in the collective waters, okay, with Neptune in Pisces right now, what's been repressed, okay? So what Amy was saying, she felt that a huge amount of the Wetico, the separation and what we had projected on the Wetico was the oppression of the feminine
Mm.
by the authoritarian masculine in both men and women and in the church.
Mm.
So this is the work. I mean, it's so many layers, and right now everything is falling down. So how are you feeling now with that word, the Wetico? Because it is a spirit helper. So how can I put on a spirit helper, which can be a tree? Okay, it can be a tree, and we can use white magic or we can use black magic. We can project something onto something and make it really dark because we put our energy into it. I have a responsibility as a light worker. What do I do with my energy? Where do I place my energy? And the same with you, Jack.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
To focus on the good, to focus on the brilliant, to focus on what we want, not on what we're trying to avoid.
And let's not sit the new earth on the distorted Wetico. Let's change that and bring it back into its pure form.
Well, we haven't got time to go into it now because we're running out of time. But further down the notes, I actually say that Wetico, the dark side of Wetico, can't exist in the new Earth because the energies are incompatible.
But if you look at the tree, there is always a shadow. If you walk, you have your shadow.
I have my shadow. Yeah, I will always have my shadow.
So Kali is a goddess. We don't have the time, but there are the mysteries. There is the positive mysteries. Erich Neumann, when he wrote his book on the Great Mother, he spoke of the great mysteries. You have the mysteries, which are the mysteries of joy, of beauty, of abundance, of happiness, of generosity, of love. Those are the beautiful mysteries.
Yeah.
And we have the Divine Mother, we have Sophia, we have Kuan Yin, we have Shakti, we have the Buddha, we have many of the divinities. But there is the other side, which is called the painful mysteries. But they are initiations. It's just a different choice. But they too belong within the divine source.
Mm-hmm.
And within those darker mysteries, we have Kali.
Yeah.
We have many others. We have the illness. We have sickness. They are mysteries. And they are a process of evolution, just like the happy mysteries. Some of us are going with the happy mysteries and the easier mysteries. That is a choice. And some of us need, for the evolutionary journey of the soul, to explore some of those very painful other mysteries, including stepping into the dark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's the two polarity. But if I exclude one and only include the other, then I'm leaving a huge part of myself out. And that's back to the scapegoat complex,
Yeah.
written by Sylvia Pereira, which I studied when I was in my 30s, when I studied psychology and Jung and all that. It's a long time ago, and women's mysteries, and I studied The Great Mother by Erich Neumann. So it's how can I bring those two together? Let's just stay balanced in the middle. Let's stay in that alignment where I don't have to fix anything. I'm just there
Yeah.
in the light of love
Mm-hmm.
and the law of attraction, and the universe then will come to me.
I have so much to learn from you, Moby.
Oh, no, you don't.
You're such a
We all
wise.
have everything. It's just my life's journey, darling. It's my life journey. I'm an elder. Never forget I'm elder. And I've forgotten all the path and everything I've done. And I too have journeys through the dark mysteries. And I have honored Kali too.
Yeah.
I've danced like Kali, yeah, because Kali was in my Hamlet. I've seen her. She was
Okay.
gate. She was a portal of energy, of fire. And there
Well,
was someone very dark.
mm,
And I honored her and I said, thank you. But I see what you're holding. And remember, Kali, when there is the death and she pulls the blood, what does she want? What does she long for? It's the essence. The essence that she puts in the cup of the feminine. The essence, it's like when we die, it's my essence is eternal. So if I can look at Kali or Wetico or the raven who looks into the mirror with his eyes and he says, I see my shadow. Either I drown in my shadow or I deny that I have a shadow or I project my shadow outside. Then I don't become mature. I never become able to respond fully as a master of my own journey through life. And I stay a child, adolescent. We're all children. But the child who is evolved is within the mother, the grandmother, the great grandmother, the great 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 grandmothers. And she knows the wisdom of all the other great grandmothers. Because she has excluded nothing, not even the fact that she needs to laugh and play and not take herself too seriously. I speak for myself.
I definitely need to learn that too at the moment.
So there we are. We are an hour and 15. I'm sorry I have to leave you to have some food.
Well, thank you very, very much for coming.
So I hope it has brought something to love, not fear,
You've brought a
and to you. And thank you for bringing the Wetico, the spirit of the Amerindian. And I will invoke right now, before we leave, the spirit of the Inuits, the spirit of the Cherokees, and of all the tribes, the Aborigines, the Thai, the Vietnamese, Siberian people. And all of us, so we remember our roots. We bring the pieces back into unity, back to the source. And so it is as it was always in the divine plan of the divine blueprint, of the original blueprint of the source.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Bless you, Mother.
Blessing.
Namaste.